Your horse? Both my legs are titanium, but
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
sweet land of liberty, of thee.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May.
No, rushing it.
The February 9, 2026 City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, when you are ready, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Peter Rivera.
Present.
Councilman Sean Ronan is present, and she's just out in the hallway. Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, 1st District, present.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman David Beaton.
Councilman David Beaton, 9th District, present.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Councilman Ron Quagliani, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Christopher Vargo.
Chairman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
And we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, we were going to recognize the Pop Warner U11 Seahawks football team, but unfortunately too many of the kids had other commitments, and there's a lot of colds and whatnot running through the schools, so we couldn't get enough here, so we're going to try and reschedule that. So we will jump right into public session at 7:05. Would anyone from the public like to address the City Council? For a second time, sir? Before you begin, sir, if you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure, and I understand the time limit recently went back to 3 minutes.
It's 3 minutes.
I'd like to request 4 if possible. Thank you. My name is Scott McCall. I live at 74 Morrissey Lane, but the people on whose behalf I'm speaking tonight don't have addresses. I conduct homeless outreach here in West Haven for a local nonprofit, and I'm aware of about 50 such individuals in our community, the majority of whom were already West Haven residents prior to becoming homeless. These are our neighbors, these are our constituents, these are human beings. Anybody can become homeless, yet little is done to prevent or alleviate it. It's a grossly misunderstood issue, surrounded by stigma and harmful assumptions that inform public policy. This raises a question: what can we do better? Recent initiatives like public showers, the warming center, and the hiring of a city social worker are all steps in the right direction that I hope will be expanded upon, but they have not been accompanied, unfortunately, by a systemic shift in attitude. Harassment and displacement are still far too common. Many of our neighboring communities have means to keep this in check, and they offer outspoken support for the homeless. I don't see that same enthusiasm here. Our lack of a principled stance is a stance in itself. Because of it, there's an absence of communication between departments, resulting in confusion, and conflicting information. Hostility is tacitly condoned because without a well-defined model with which to coordinate our response to homelessness, we default to criminalization. The goal is not to help them, but to regulate them. As more people get priced out and as poverty is perceived as more unsightly against the backdrop of urban renewal, I fear that the homeless will become even more marginalized. This isn't to say that we shouldn't boost our economy and improve the city, but we should be mindful to include everybody in our shared prosperity, including the impoverished who have for so long been deprived of opportunity. We cannot absolve ourselves of responsibility by making baseless assumptions that the homeless are outsiders coming to take advantage of us. We cannot allow ourselves to be so callous as to write off the homeless as miscreants who just want to live outside of society's conventions or as a nuisance that we don't want to look at. We cannot make excuses when people are dying because they lack the most basic of human needs. Homelessness is a miserable, soul-crushing state of being. We cannot continue to perpetuate its existence by making it more difficult than it already is. I'm not asking for anything that we cannot afford, and I'm not even asking for any new programs. but what I am asking will make our existing network of care more efficient. My one demand is that as we move forward as a community, we adopt compassion as a principle. This means allowing the less fortunate to be part of our community instead of punishing them for their circumstances and keeping them cut off from what they need to build a normal and happy life. It means acknowledging that our neighbors need help instead of pretending not to see them sleeping on the green right outside the windows of this very building. It means knowing when to exercise power by exercising restraint. It's expensive to reinforce a cycle of destitution, but it costs nothing to treat people with dignity and kindness. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to coordinating with you in the future.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else like to address the City Council? Sir?
Good evening, City Council. Hello. My name is Christian McCarthy. I've been living at Prospect Avenue for a little over 20 years now. Here today to talk about a parking enforcement concern, specifically about this past weekend. The story actually starts last week. Apparently, sometime before Thursday, the Commissioner Sissick, Department of Public Works, decided to declare an emergency and ban parking on the odd side of Prospect Avenue. And put up about a dozen of these signs, which are posted every other house or so. As you can see, there's nothing about the reason or the dates for it, as I confirmed them later. It was for through Monday, and it was on the odd side of the street for snow removal, for some extra snow that was there, because it's a particularly narrow street where we are in Prospect Avenue, and they had some issues there. Friday night, when I was coming home and noticing the snow with my wife, before going to bed, we decided to make sure we were totally parked legally. She went on the website to confirm that when the emergency is declared and there's no parking on the odd side, you can park on the even side. I went out to make sure the signs were still there, which they were. I was awoken before dawn at about 5:30 when they were towing the cars. I went out and spoke to the police officer there after I moved my wife's car. He didn't know anything about this, even after I removed the sign from the pole in front of him and showed it to him. He didn't know anything about it. The dispatcher that I called about didn't know anything about the parking ban and said I could call traffic at 7 o'clock Monday morning, which I did. They didn't know anything, said Public Works hadn't told them anything, and that I could appeal it individually, and I should send a copy of this all in. I said, what about my elderly neighbors who had their cars towed? They said, well, everyone has to do it individually. She had no idea of knowing which tickets had been written, which I thought was strange. I'm not sure why the police wouldn't know what tickets they wrote. But in any event, I'm asking the City Council to have them reverse the tickets that were issued wrongly and to reimburse the citizens whose cars were wrongfully towed. I think there was I don't know how I am for time-wise. I tried to go pretty precisely. When I spoke to Commissioner Sissick, he seemed to have the attitude, and the one-time traffic tickets were enforced about 3 years ago down at the beach. The attitude seemed to be that they don't enforce tickets that often, so when they do, we should just deal with it and pay it. But I've been living there, and it's hard on Prospect. It is narrow, and the people who are blocking the street should be ticketed and towed, but not the ones who are following the rules, figuring out what we need to do, and doing it right. And I don't know whether it's fair to have towed all my neighbors, the majority of which were parked on the wrong side, because they're used to West Haven not enforcing this. But I don't think my neighbors, particularly those on a elderly who are facing new taxes in West Haven and on a fixed income, should have to pay $240 as she did as a lifelong resident here, following the rules. So my information is there. Chris McCarthy, 475-343-1509, and I look forward to hearing from someone. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the City Council? For a second time, would anyone else like to address?
My name is Dale Isla, 90 Honeypot Road, West Haven, Connecticut, and I come here about the mayor, her staff, the council people, etc. I have talked to many residents, West Haven residents, and they all agree that the above people are doing a great job for the city of West Haven. My second front I'm come here is about the police. I thank them for all they do. I thank them for all they do for the citizens of West Haven. And I think more people should do that. They were there for my parents. They were there, and they were great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Would anyone else like to address the city council? For a second time, would anyone else like to address the city council? For a third and final time, Mr. Brown?
I have a couple of things. Frederick Brown, 100 Smith Street. I'd like to support and endorse a couple of candidates the mayor's recommended to the council. I'd like to again support Riley Waterfield for the Energy Commission. Her family's been involved with the city for a long time, done an excellent job. I think this is a great appointment. I'd like to also endorse and support Rich Hebert for the Water Pollution Control Commission. Rich and his wife have been very involved with the city. They've done an excellent job. They've become very good friends to me. I've been urging Rich to become a commissioner, and I'm glad he finally did it, and I'm glad he got the appointment. And I don't know Mr. Rosenkrantz, but I am looking forward to meeting him on the Allentown Commission. That said, I'd also like to thank Christy Collins and Bill Canning for their service and wish them well in their future endeavors. But Mayor, the two appointments are excellent appointments. So the final thing I'd like to speak about is we're about to come up on the budget hearing, the public budget hearing. And last year, I wanted a printed package of the budget package, and they ran out. And I went to the finance office and asked if they had extra copies. They did not. They said, if we come up with them, we'll call you, which I never got the call. Could we have additional budget packages for the public hearing so people can go through them and make their notes? It's difficult to do it when you're doing it online. It'd be nice if we have a written copy where we could make our notes. If the public understands, and being a fire commissioner, if the public understands the budget and understands what they're paying for, they're bound to support it. If they don't understand it, then you're going to have problems like we had a few years ago with the fire districts. So I would like to ask for additional printed copies so the people can make their notes and ask their questions and better understand the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Would anyone else like to address the city council?
Hello, Kristen Jacome, 53 Sumac Street, Jacome or Hakome. I wanted to bring this up because this was just last week on Wednesday. I did hear word on Facebook that ICE was outside on Campbell. Not too sure if this is something that City Hall talks about, as this is my first time here, but I'd love to hear more about it. So definitely didn't want to miss the opportunity of bringing it up today on February 9th. That is all.
Thank you for your comments. Would anyone else like to address the city council? For a second time, would anyone else like to address the city council? Third and final time, would anyone else like to address the city council? Seeing none, public hearing session is closed at 7:16. Okay, before we convene the regular meeting, we have a special guest. Mayor, would you like to do the introductions?
I'm not the special guest.
Oh, you're already special.
Thank you. I wanted to introduce, we have a new corporation counsel for the city of West Haven, and his name is Kevin Cassini, and today was his first day, and he hit the ground running. And Paul Dorsey, front row and center, he has chosen to be the assistant corporation counsel. Paul has a lot on his plate with his practice, and a lot of business and a lot of other things he likes to do, and wants to stay involved with the city, wants to help us, and he has great historical perspective, but didn't really want to manage all the caseloads. So he's a great part of the team, and Kevin has taken the lead and comes with a wealth of experience. And as he talks in the different council meetings, you'll learn more about everything he has to offer. So welcome, Kevin. Make sure you come back tomorrow.
Attorney Cassini, on behalf of the City Council, we'd like to welcome you to the team. Very happy that you're here in West Haven, and I will do my best not to be too much of a pain for you. And Paul, I'm still going to text you on odd hours on Sunday afternoon. So, all right. All right. The time is 7:18. We will convene the regular meeting of the City Council for February 9th, 2026. May I have a motion to approve the Journal of January 12th, 2026?
Motion.
I have a first from Councilman Beaton. Do I have a second? Second from Councilwoman Heffernan. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, when you are ready, would you please hand out the communications?
Certainly. We have before us Communication A from the tax collector regarding refund of overpayments for January 2026, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. Communication B, animal shelter donations from Chief Joseph Perno being assigned to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Akbarali. Communication C from Mayor Dorinda Borer requesting consideration and action regarding an amendment to Chapter 101, Section 101-1, fees relating to planning and zoning of the Code of West Haven, being assigned to the Legislative Matters Committee, Chairman Quagliani. Communication D from Mayor Dorinda Borer requesting consideration and action regarding the appointment of Richard Philip Hebert, 166 Bloom Street, West Haven, to the Water Pollution Control Commission. Mr. Hebert's appointment will be replacing William Canning, whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expires on February 2nd, 2028. Being assigned to the Personnel and Civil Service Committee, Chairman Ronan. Communication E from Attorney Paul Dorsey regarding a request to amend item previously adopted, statutory resolution amending charter to modify the budget adoption dates, which was previously Communication E from the December 15th, 2025 agenda, being assigned to the council as a whole, Chairman Vargo. And Communication F from Mayor Dorinda Borer regarding a request for approval of a resolution establishing a charter revision commission, being assigned to council as a whole, Chairman Vargo. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. We will recess into committee meetings. The time is 7:20. First is council as a whole. Communication E from Attorney Paul Dorsey regarding a request to amend item previously adopted, statutory resolution, amending charter to modify budget adoption dates, which references Communication E from the December 15, 2026 agenda. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the amended statutory resolution, and then I will ask for a motion in a second. Amended statutory resolution of the City Council of the City of West Haven, amending the charter of the City of West Haven pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes Section 7-191B, modifying budget adoption dates. Whereas Connecticut General Statutes Section 7-191B provides that the legislative body of the City of West Haven may, upon a 2/3 vote, amend the charter of the City of West Haven to modify budget adoption dates mandated therein. And whereas it is desirable to amend the charter to allow the mayor and her administration additional time to prepare and submit a budget to the City Council to align with the state of Connecticut's budget process and adoption schedule, and to accurately reflect any changes in market conditions or expenditure estimations that may occur closer to the start of the fiscal year beginning the first day of July. Whereas at a regular meeting held on December 15, 2025, the City Council of the City of West Haven, acting pursuant to the provisions of Connecticut General Statutes Section 7-191B, did vote affirmatively to ordain Chapter 19, Parts A, B, and C of the Charter of the City of West Haven be amended to modify the budget process and adoption dates consistent with those set forth in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part hereof by reference, and as set forth in the amended Charter of the City of West Haven attached hereto as Exhibit B. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of West Haven City Council does hereby ordain that Chapter 19, Parts A, B, and C of the Charter of the City of West Haven are hereby amended and modified to modify the budget process and adoption dates consistent with those as set forth in Exhibit A attached hereto and made part hereof by reference, and as set forth in the amended Charter of the City of West Haven attached hereto as Exhibit B, effective this 9th day of February 2026. May I have a motion to approve this resolution as drafted?
So moved.
I have a first from Councilman Rivera and a second from Councilman McMillan. Discussion. Attorney Dorsey, can you just give us a rundown of the only change I believe is that the effective date of our resolution is today versus
the 15th,
just December 15th.
Yep. Housekeeping. So there's a provision in the general statutes that says when charter revisions are made, there's a 30-day window between the time that they're voted on by a city council or a legislative body and the time they become effective. When we did the resolution back on December 15th, 2025, we did it according to a provision of the statutes that allows this body to amend the charter simply to change the dates of when the budget gets adopted. This council voted to accept that. We're just being belt and suspenders. There's an argument to be made that because it's a statute that allows us to do that, it became effective on December 15th. A phone call to the Secretary of State just to be sure that we were in compliance. We concluded that, hey, why not just make it effective tonight? That way there can be no future objection to this, or no one can raise the issue that there wasn't a 30-day period that it was considered by the state. State of Connecticut, through the Secretary of State's office, has informed us that they have absolutely no problem with the original statutory resolution that was passed, but they said, why don't you just make it effective at this meeting? 30 days have passed, and we're all set.
Okay, so
Simple-
nothing that we did.
simple housekeeping.
So nothing that we did on December 15th is changing. The state signed off on that resolution. All we're doing is just making it effective today.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Peter Rivera.
Pass. A pass means that you're skipping the vote, so could you say yes or no or abstain?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Sean Ronan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Yes.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Yes.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Yes.
Councilman David Beaton.
Yes.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Yes.
And Chairman Christopher Vargo.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes unanimously.
That's right.
Okay. Next up is Communication F from Mayor Dorinda Boer regarding a request for approval of a resolution establishing a Charter Revision Commission. And I will once again read the resolution. Statutory resolution of the City of West Haven City Council authorizing the creation of a Charter Revision Commission pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 7-188B. Whereas the mayor and the city council have, from time to time, encountered issues of magnitude and importance that would benefit from a thorough review by a Charter Revision Commission. And whereas the city council seeks broad participation of the residents of the West Haven to consider the means to improve public access, understanding, and investment in the operations of its municipal government. Now, therefore, be it resolved, pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 7-188B, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby initiates an action to amend the current charter by authorizing the creation of a Charter Revision Commission, acting by a 2/3 vote of its entire membership. Be it further resolved, pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes Section 7-190, that within 30 days of following initiation of the charter revision process, the City Council shall, by resolution, 1, appoint a commission consisting of 7 electors, or as may be otherwise required by law, not more than 1/3 of whom may hold public office in the city, and not more than a bare majority of whom shall be members of one political party, which commission shall proceed forthwith to draft such amendments, and 2, establish the time frame for submission of a final report by said commission, although not later than the general election of 2026. May I have a motion to approve this resolution as drafted?
Motion.
I have a first
Second.
from Councilwoman Callahan, second from Acbrelli and Quagliani. Mayor, would you like to start us off?
With the charter revision?
Yes.
Just trying to find out where we towed him. Sorry about that. I apologize. I was trying to figure out what happened with the towing on Prospect so we could figure that out. Okay, so charter revision. So we have not revised our charter in quite a while. There was there was a recent attempt at charter revision in 2018. There was one before that. 2018, it goes before all of the residents, all the voters to vote, and it was voted down. There was a charter commission that worked hard for 18 months and came up with a lot of recommendations. I think if I had to give an analysis, there was a lot of recommendations. So, the more recommendations you have, the easier it is for somebody to find something they may not agree with in the charter revision. So it was voted down, and it wasn't really clear on the ballot either. But there was a lot of good ideas that came out of that charter revision. And, the charter is, for those who don't know who are listening, it's our governing document. It's our constitution, our local constitution. And when it's so outdated, two things start to happen. One, it starts to get ignored, right? There's policies in there and governing rules in there that they've been there so long and people have gone past them that, you got to make them common sense that can be adhered to. And then the other thing is there's some very outdated aspects in the charter that need to be addressed. A lot of things tie my hands. A lot of things prohibit us. I'll give you a perfect example. Human resources John Carano is called Human Resources Director. Well, in the real world, any world, human resources is what? Personnel. Here, human resources, that's the title for social services, our park and rec and our health department and our youth services. So even the titles are outdated. So when we have to apply for anything and we put human resources, it's very confusing. Allowing our health department to maybe merge with other health departments and making a regional health department, those things are prohibited in the charter. How we do our finances are outdated in the charter. So it's time to take a second look. I think it's important for clarity, so everybody's consistent, and accountability. So this is the first step to ask the council to create a commission. I will be sending recommendation for commission members to the council. You will also be asked for commission members. You don't want it too large. You want it to be manageable. And then I'll be sending also recommendations for areas that I think should be looked at, that I see are challenges throughout the course of business for the city. So it's to do the organizational structure for the document. We have engaged an outside attorney that is doing this currently for 7 other cities. His name is Steve Mednick, but he's also performed charter revision analysis and legal advice across the state for many years. So I think he'll be a great addition, and Paul and Kevin will coordinate with Steve. Once the commission is put together, Steve will come and actually do a presentation to the new commission to talk about their role and what the steps are. Good? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Attorney Dorsey or Attorney Cassini, do you want to add anything to that before I move on? Sorry.
Yeah, tonight is just the first step to appoint, to establish a commission. 30 days from now, the members of that commission will be members of the commission, and then they would go on from there. That's all you're voting on tonight. There's no present nominations before the city council or anything like that.
Attorney Dorsey, the resolution says that there's a maximum that can be an official. Can you define that?
A maximum of what? I'm sorry.
So it says the not more than 1/3 of whom may hold public office in the city. Can you define for us so that when we are thinking of folks to reach out to, we keep that in mind? So what's the definition of holding public
Elected
office?
officials.
Does that include appointed officials?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I could certainly answer that question for you, but I take it to mean elected officials. But I could be wrong.
Okay. If we could clarify that in the next couple of days.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure that we're not advancing names that we just can't even consider.
Yep.
Okay. So these are my thoughts on a framework of the timeline getting us over to the next few weeks. So we have 30 days to make the appointments, which is Wednesday, March 11th. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask that the mayor and the city council members provide a list of potential names to our secretary, Carla, within the next 2 weeks. So by our next meeting. I'm going to ask Carla to curate that list for us, send it out to all of the city council members, and then we can begin our individual vetting process of those individuals. I will ask that before a name is submitted to Carla, that whoever is recommending that person reach out first to make sure that there is interest. The last thing I want is for somebody to get 13 phone calls and then to say, no, I'm not really interested. That would be embarrassing. So if we could do that. Then at our March 9th regular meeting, then presumably we will be able to vote to staff the commission. Worst case, if we are unable to finish that work by the 9th, we have until the 11th, so we can call a special meeting on the 11th to wrap it up. And I'm also going to ask that if the mayor is able to, around that time frame as well, or a couple weeks later, to send off the list of points, charter areas, or ideas over to the office. That way we have some idea of what the framework of what the commission is going to look to. And I also encourage all of you to do the same thing. That way we just have some kind of an idea of the areas that we're looking into. With that, is there anything else that we need to discuss? Is there any questions for Attorney Dorsey on this process? No? Okay, thank you. Yep, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Peter Rivera.
Yes.
Councilman Sean Ronan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatelle is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Yes.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Yes.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
C.
which means yes. Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker.
Yes.
Councilman David Beaton.
Yes.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Yes.
And Chairman Christopher Vargo.
Yes.
And that is unanimous.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. That concludes the business of council as a whole. Time is 7:36. And now we will move on to the Finance Committee, Chairwoman Akbarali.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 7:37, and your Committee on Finance is now in session. Members present are Councilman Donovan, Councilman Quagliani, Councilwoman Tucker, and myself, Councilwoman Akbarali, as chair. First, we have our financial updates from Mr. Gormady.
All right. Good evening, Chairwoman. Good evening, City Council. We have a few updates tonight. So, one of them's going to be the monthly report that I emailed over to everyone over the weekend. And then the mayor and I have some additional updates on just finances and things like that. So the first update is really just on the December 2025 monthly report. Not a lot changed from the last conversation we had between the November and December report. In December, we did see some variances in the normal categories that we talked about on the revenue side, interest income, and a few local categories that we discussed prior. Right now, we are going through tax collections. As you know, we did 4 quarterly payments. The end of January was the third payment that was due in the quarter. So we're currently reconciling that. So I'll probably have a better update on that in the January report as I come before the city council. On the revenue side, on the expenditure side, you would see some variances in just different departments. That's really just looking at some of the vacancy savings that we've had through the year. So as you know, certain city departments have had various vacancies, and some of those vacancies have been filled, but there has been some savings depending on the timing of when we filled those positions. Some of those savings was offset by overtime needed, but again, you'll start to see some variances within the different departments, especially as we've gotten halfway through the fiscal year. AFD and sewer funds through December are still showing as balanced. So right now we are projecting a small surplus in those 2 funds as well. So again, with the AFD, the last few years we've been able to make additional pension liability payments, which has helped us within that fund. So if there's a surplus, we'll also look at that for fiscal year 26 as well. So again, overall, we are projecting through December being balanced. As I like to say, this is just an estimate at that period in time. As we go through the year and as we look at each month, these things can change in one direction from one way to another. So again, as we continue to project the fiscal year, we will continue to keep the city council updated. So before I have Mayor Bohr move on to some of our other updates, I'll be happy to answer any questions on the monthly.
Does anyone on the committee have any questions for Mr. Gormany? Councilman Donovan?
Yeah. Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We broke down in the quarters, right? Which was good. It helps the residents out. When we did that, did we break down the percentage as well? Like, if it was 20%, did we just, and John Doe owes $10,000 in taxes. Did you break the did we break down the $10,000, or did we break down the percentage as well?
So when the tax bills went out, whatever the mill rate generated, what our vendor does is they break that into 4 quarterly payments. So it's just based on if your tax bill came out to $10,000 for that year, it would be $2,500 every quarter.
Okay, so that goes for the fire as well.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So remember, the tax bill is the combined whatever district you're in and the and the city tax. So whatever that total came out to, it's 4 quarters based on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions from the committee? I'll open it up to the council. Councilwoman Callahan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Hello, Micah. Thank
Hello.
you again for all your hard work and setting this over the weekend. I not a question, it's more of a comment. Myself, obviously, as a taxpayer, the quarterly payments are a lifesaver. We are in that situation where we make the quarterly payments, and I can't tell you how much, especially in January, it means. Especially when you're really, at the end of the year and it seems like everything's due in January. So just as a taxpayer and paying myself quarterly and my husband, I just want to say thank you for that, because it is a huge tax relief for the people that do have to, all of a sudden come up with that money. And it's night and day when you can make a half a payment versus a quarter. So I just want to say thank you. I think it was one of the best things we ever put forward. So thanks for your hard work on that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions? Councilman Beaton?
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. You've mentioned periodically over the last few meetings about not getting the interest back in terms of our savings. Did how we reimburse the fire districts instead of giving them one lump sum into quarterly payments affect that interest at all?
No. Yes and no. We do not keep the fire district's money. So when we have a time frame here in finance where we remit it to the fire districts as we collect it, because we have to make sure they're cash flow solvent as we collect their funds. So really, the fire district funds are really going in and out from the city as our tax office reconciles what they collect and they send to finance, and then we send it to the fire districts. The interest is really, I think, just a combination, like I said before, of the market and what we've seen in our accounts. So over the last few meetings, we've talked a lot about, for example, ARPA. We got a large lump sum of ARPA funding in, but that's really, from a cash interest perspective, that's really a one-time source, right? That's not money coming in and out. So as we spend down that ARPA funds, that's not being replenished, like taxes, right? We have operating expenses, things go out, but we have tax money that comes back in. So that's kind of replenishing, as we collect in different areas. So we're really looking at like balancing out the one-time things like ARPA versus our cash flow. Now, obviously, with quarterly payments, it was a one-time. It was something that we were doing this fiscal year, and we got mortgage company payments and things like that. But there was a slight lag on what we see when you look at one half of the year versus quarterly. So, we do take that stuff into account, but there's a bunch of different factors that are going into the interest income. Yep.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Heffernan?
Good evening.
I remember when we first decided to do it, and I think it's a great idea, and I have also, utilized the service. But is the percentage of people paying, has the recoupment been the same as if it were just in two payments? Have people continued to pay on time? And
I think we've seen a mixture of, there were some people who obviously, were used to paying in half, and this was the first year that we've done it. Again, I think I mentioned at a couple of meetings, mortgage companies, because we didn't make it a permanent thing, and we really did this with the reval and, to give that relief during the reval period. A lot of the mortgage companies stuck to halves until we said this is a permanent thing, then they switched. So I think there's still some analysis that has to go into quarterly payments, just because, especially that mortgage piece, they're a good portion of our tax payments, right? Now, we also have a good percentage of folks who aren't on a mortgage. Now, we did have a good number of folks who took advantage of the quarterly piece as well. So it was kind of a mixed bag, but I think we did see quite a few people take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions?
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
It states here that 63.5% of the current tax budget through December. Is that a norm, or is that a decrease from what we did the prior year?
So that's close to the same. So
Close to the
this is looking at the actual budget, right? So there's two things we look at with tax collections: the budget, which has certain factors built in, and then what we call the levy, which is like all the taxable and collectible accounts. This is looking at the budget. So you'll see the report say the budget. Sometimes when I say the collection percentage, we're talking about the levy, because that's all the collectible tax accounts. But this is based off the budget. Yep.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Quagliani.
Sorry, I missed my first go around. Mike, is there a lien sale baked into these numbers, these forecast numbers for year end?
So we do, and that's basically at the year end. We do go out for our delinquent taxes. We issue an RFP, and there is a budgeted number in here for the lien sales.
And we could overshoot that number. Right.
Yeah, yep. It depends at the timing of that sale and things like that. Over the last few years, West Haven has gone right on that number. There was one year where we did exceed that number by a little bit, based on the RFP that came in from the lien company.
Okay.
So
we'll see that maybe in the springtime.
we usually do that around May or June-ish. May, or like the timing is like the very beginning of June. That's like the drop dead last piece that we can do. But yeah, usually around May-ish.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilman Vargo. Chairman Vargo.
Thank you. Mike, I just wanted to highlight what Councilman McMillan was saying, because over the last couple of months, we've expressed some concerns over the quarterly payments and the collectability of, or the collection rate rather, of those taxes. So I just want to highlight that we're now, as of this report, 50% into the year, and we are over 50% of the collection. So it's more in line with what we've been seeing when we were at 2 payments versus 4. So I just want to make sure.
Yes. So normally what you would see in the monthly reports is normally January around this number, because you had 2 halves of collection. So what we did is we're projecting out what we're anticipating for January and everything else within this number. So that's why I'm saying it's around the same, because we're going to end up collecting less money in January, obviously, with quarterly payments, but the percentage should be around the same that we seen last year with the budget.
On your report, you say that the bulk of the state revenue that we receive is typically in December. We're now in February. How are those numbers looking?
Right now we've gotten a bulk of our, we've actually received a bulk of our pilot payments and everything else. So the numbers that you see on here, when you compare the forecasted number to the budget, is actual revenue that we've received for most. On the state revenue side, we're really looking at ECS and a few other educational revenues that come in. Those are the ones that typically come in, around January and April. But as far as city revenue, like pilot, car pilot, other things, we got a bulk of that already.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Mr. Gormley? Mayor Bohr?
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Just a couple of things before I talk about the year-end numbers. One on the 4 payments. Yeah, I thought it was great. I saw that another municipality had done that, and I think it was great during reval year. We're asking Dave Taylor to run an analysis to see what it truly cost us, though. It was extra letters. Plus, to your question about the fire department, we met with all the fire commissioners before we made that decision, because we have to do, our bills together. They don't have the cash in the bank like we have, right? Because there's a much smaller financials, if you will. So we had talked about we had to loan them, right, to float them until the money came in. And then the mortgage companies, they kind of gave us a pass this time, but there's challenges with that. And if we do it again, I think it's going to cost us a lot of money. Believe me, I would love to do the 4 payments again. I've heard from so many people, over 6,000 people chose that option. But we have to look at the end of the day of what it cost us this year and what it'll cost us this year, because this year will be different. It was a one-time thing that the council passed because it was a reval year. So we would have to pass another ordinance. But again, we got to look at those numbers, and this year is going to be tight. Secondly, the delinquencies, to Ron's question, to Councilman Quagliani's questions. So our tax collection rate is in line with what it was this time last year. However, most of that, not most of it, real estate is in line with last year and actually ahead of the game. Motor vehicle is not. Motor vehicle is not because the state of Connecticut changed. You can register your car every 3 years instead of every 2 years. So folks, typically if you're going to have to register your car, what do you got to do? You got to pay your taxes. So, if they don't need to register for 3 years, very often people don't come in and pay their taxes. So we saw a dip in motor vehicle tax collection rate. To that end, tomorrow we have a meeting with the boot company. So I will be sending letters. Actually, Mike will be sending letters. We'll be doing it together to all of our motor vehicle delinquencies after a certain amount of days. We're not going to do it if you're late, 2 months. We know things happen. There's a threshold before we're going to send the letters. And then that is also going to include those who have registered the cars out of town. We've sent them several letters. We hired that company, remember, CTR last year. And if they haven't registered the car here, they will be booted. We've warned them enough now. So that is something that we're looking at to address the delinquencies in motor vehicles. We don't want to do it, but I think it was a very impactful way to collect funds many years ago, and I think other cities have done it as well. So that's what we're looking at. So pay your car taxes. Okay, so I want to talk about the year-end numbers, and I'm gonna read a little bit of it because I want to make sure. I don't typically read, but I want to capture as much as I can so that we're accurate. So I'm going to take it 1 year at a time because we're closing out the books of fiscal year 25. So for those who may be watching who don't know, government's financial year is fiscal year. It's July 1st to June 30th. So we are still closing out June 30th from fiscal year 25, June 30th, 2025. So typically, the books have to close June 30th, but they really don't close until maybe September because you do a lot of adjustments after the actual close of business. We did not receive the Board of Education's closed books until December 2025. So I just want to let you know that caused us to delay the audit 1 month. We applied to the auditors and the state for an audit extension. So that was granted. So we're 1 month behind. However, it appears when we did get the results of the Board of Education finances for fiscal year 25 that there's a deficit for $8 million. So this deficit is directly related to special education. So it's special education tuition and special education transportation. And, we have a legal and we have a moral obligation to make sure we provide the services to everyone, but the cost of special education is exorbitant. A lot of it is transportation. We don't have the services in-house, and every city across the state is experiencing this, a high rise in special education needs, and having to transport these children out of district. So in some cases, some of these students are being transported right on our transportation for over an hour in the morning. They go for services and an hour back. It's a very heavy lift. Those costs, there is no cap on those costs. We are at the mercy of who provides those tuition and who provides those services. So that's just an explanation of where that significant deficit is. And if you pick up the paper, you're going to see that's across the state. So to address this $8 million deficit, and I will say that if we had information regarding this deficit sooner than December, it wouldn't have changed the deficit, but I could have worked to address it a little sooner. I did continually ask the Board of Education if there was a deficit. They did not believe they had a deficit because they thought that they can transfer from a former internal service fund account, which our auditors said they cannot do. You just cannot do that because the funds are not there. So I think that is what was done in the past with the Board of Education. They would transfer to cover these costs. Can't do that. So we didn't learn of it till December. So we had recognized that on the city side, we had a $4 million surplus. So we will be using that $4 million surplus to help address the $8 million deficit. We also put some projects on hold and not economic projects, right? That, no development projects that will bring in revenue. We're careful to see what we can change. And we did realize that $8 million to cover that deficit. Michael is finalizing those numbers with the auditors, and you will get more information on that at the next council meeting. But we want to give you a heads up because we got that information in December, and then we had the meeting canceled because of snow last week. So After we covered that $8 million deficit, the auditors then found an additional $3.4 million shortage in the Board of Education. I do not have a surplus, another surplus, right? Because we just used it for the 8 million or more projects to be put on hold. So we will need to use our last resort, which is potentially taking $4 million from our general fund. So you will get more information on that next meeting as well. And that will be discussed further. Fast forward to fiscal year 2026, which is the current financial year that we are in. I just received the budget to actual report from the Board of Education today. So we were 7 months into the fiscal year. They needed to load their grants. Sometimes they don't get that information, but it's difficult for a department, and I consider the Board of Education a department of the city, right? They are, our largest department, but we all follow the charter that we just talked about with how you're supposed to manage the finances. So getting the budget to actual today makes it very difficult, again, for us to track where the board is at. The Board of Education is indicating they don't have a deficit in fiscal year 26, but they didn't think they had a deficit in fiscal year 25. So, we're managing that very closely. We meet every week. I talk to Neil every day. This has been going on, for several weeks, and it's a critical issue. Okay, so we acknowledge also that the Board of Education just passed a budget for fiscal year 27, requesting a $4.5 million increase. And this is compounded with the fact that we were just given our state numbers last week, and there was no increase to special education, no increase to our ECS, and no increase to our Alliance district funding. Flat funding education to me is a cut to education, because there's clearly, cost of services that rise. And if you don't address those indexes, everything from minimum wage, we have, employees that are making minimum wage in the Board of Education, or the price of fuel, or the price of, supplies, that all naturally goes up. So flat funding, to me, is a detriment. So the flat funding, along with the challenges at the Board of Education, is really double unfavorable multiplier for us. I have had state meetings. I have already gone to see the governor. I have gone to see our state representatives. I see one of them here. I've gone up to the Capitol. We had another state delegation meeting again today. I'm going up tomorrow to Hartford to be a part of a press conference with Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, because, again, we are not the only city that are very, very concerned that our education formula that has not been changed in years, and an Alliance grant such as ours has not been adjusted. Those are significant concerns for me, for all of us. I say me as I'm, reading all of it. So, I want to say again, the cost for special education is very real, and we will have a presentation by the Board of Education. I'm going to ask for a special meeting probably to occur prior to your next council meeting, so we could hear more from the Board of Education. While we understand how high the costs have increased, what I'm interested in hearing is what we're doing about it. Can we regionalize transportation? Can we bring more services inside to the city? Can we certify more personnel? Do we have the facilities? What are the opportunities to address this? Because it's only going to continue to grow. The other thing I would say is, for the Board of Education, and this isn't a council versus Board of Education, we're all one city, we're all one taxpayer, we all need to work together. It's challenging. So on the city side, we get a projection every month, and I look at every line item with Michael, and if we see something's trending higher than we anticipated for that month, we question it. If we see a line item that's trending significantly lower than what we budgeted, we question it. Something's going on. Could be that the bills come in May, and we know that. It could be that we had snow, which we'll get to. It could be several reasons, but you need to look at those projections every month. I do not have those Board of Education projections every month. We provide the funding, but legally, we don't have the authority to dictate how to allocate that funding. We just don't. We don't by charter, and we don't by law. There's 9 elected Board of Education members that make those decisions with the funding. We make the decisions on the city side, they make the decision on the funding, and then we bring that funding into more decisions on the city side. So let's see, what other good news do I have for you? While we're on the subject, in addition to the education being flat funded, we also saw a $5 million increase in our car grant for the city of West Haven. So because we went through a revaluation, we needed to lower the mill rate, right? We couldn't possibly continue with that mill rate when we saw some assessments go up 75%, 80% for some homeowners. That would have been, crushing. It was crushing enough. But we were required to do reval. We did talk to the MARB at the time, but postponing it, look at the market now. It really wouldn't have changed a year. However, we had to do the revaluation. It's required. So we had to lower the mill rate. There's a state of Connecticut law that your motor vehicle mill rate cannot be higher than your real estate mill rate. So we lowered our real estate mill rate to address the reval assessment increase, and we were required to also lower the motor vehicle mill rate. Tracking? Okay. But there's also a law that says once you go under a certain mill rate, you lose your state funding. So we were boxed in, right? It was either address it then or address it now. And because we were going through reval, we had to drop the mill rate again. So, again, going back to the Capitol, I know that our state delegation is going to work hard to try to capture that funding as well. It should be noted it's not just the city side that lost that funding, it's our fire districts too. So, it's a challenge when you work hard every single day to look for every penny and look for funding and address expenses. And this is, what we do all day. And there's a lot of these factors have been out of our control, but we need to address them because at the end of the day, it's imperative that we make sure we alleviate the impact, but with a significant impact from the state and then a significant impact from the Board of Education. We're going to, make some very hard decisions on the city side. I hope the Board of Education is making some very hard decisions in the education side. And let me be clear, because every time we talk about Board of Education funding, the leaders sound the bells, right? Like nobody wants to cut teachers. Nobody wants to cut paras of all people. But it's okay to ask questions with, how are we doing with bidding bus service? How are we doing with combining, supplies, purchase of supplies? How are we managing fuel by, Board of Ed? We do all that. So we've been talking a lot, myself and the superintendent. We're going to continue to do that and look for ways, and I've offered, Michael has offered to help with the finances, and we're just going to continue to do what we're doing. And I have put together a spending freeze on the city side. So that means that anything that has not already been purchased, that we have grant funded or is critical, then we're going to put on hold just to rein it in. So, I know the first reaction is, wow, Board of Education, but if you look at the special education tuition and transportation numbers, those are significant. Sometimes transporting one child can really break the budget. It's not it's a lot of physical needs and equipment we just do not have here. So I will pause and hear your reaction.
Thank you, Mayor Boer. Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mayor, thank you for mentioning that about the fire district. That's pretty much what I was looking at, because I know the state not giving the fire departments that money is crushing to the fire departments and the residents as well. So I know you going up there fired up, and our representatives behind you. They might get in front of you eventually, but they're going to be behind you, definitely backing you up, I'm sure. But yeah, that's something that's very critical with the fire departments, and so I'm glad you mentioned that and explained that whole process there with the by lowering it, what happens with the fire departments and the state not giving them, which to me is not fair. But I'm sure you will have better words than I would up there. So thank you for doing that. So thank you, and thank you, Mike, as well.
Thank you, Councilwoman Callahan?
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Can you just confirm, although some of us on the council know, just for everyone out there, how much of our budget is the Board of Education?
What do you think, Michael? 68% or?
Yeah, around. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing if I can get it up. Sorry about that.
That's okay, just an estimate.
Yeah, a little bit over 50%, like the high 50% of our budget, so close to that 60% range.
So I just think it's very important. That's one of the first things that I learned as a council person. I was blown away by how much of our budget is on the Board of Ed. I didn't realize. I don't think a lot of our constituents realize that. And I, for one, have family members and very dear friends that are teachers in this city, and we respect and love them and cherish everything they do. They work very hard, and a lot of them have challenging jobs. I just want to clear up that what you said, we're on the same team, and nobody wants to cut anybody, but there's only so much money in the till. And with the Board of Ed over 50% of our city budget, I really think that needs to resonate with people. That's a very important number. So the other 50% goes for everything else in the city, but over 50% is our Board of Ed. So thank you for that confirmation, and I just want to let everybody know that we do care about the Board of Ed, and they're very important to us. But, you know, it's tough times, so go get them up in Hartford. Thank you.
I know. Sorry.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Heffernan?
I know. I'm sorry, Dave. Mr. Gormley, if we did not have the educational cost sharing that the city receives from the state, what would the percentage of the money spent in the city be for the Board of Education?
Sorry. So educational cost sharing accounts for, so you got to look at it two ways, the expense side and the revenue side, like you mentioned. On the expense side, education cost sharing actually accounts for about 25% of the revenue side of the budget. It's about a little bit over $40 million of the $182 million budget. So again, remember, when you talk about education, 50% of the expenses are 50% of the expense budget is Board of Education. That's basically made up, when you look at the revenue side, about 25% from education cost sharing, and the other 25% comes from taxpayers. Or I'm sorry, half comes from education cost sharing, the other half is taxpayers. So again, it's when you look at the revenue versus expenses, it's different percentages because a lower percentage comes from the state of the overall budget for education. Yeah.
But if the city had to pay for the whole amount of the Board of Education budget,
hmm If the city had to pay for the whole amount, basically we get a little bit over $40 million from the state of Connecticut. I mean, if you look at it, if the state didn't give us that money, a mill is basically worth $4 million in the 26 budget. So we would have to make that up through taxes or other means of revenue.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Beaton.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mayor, that was an outstanding explanation. Thank you. It was we can understand it. I appreciate that very much. And I also want to say to you, thank you for being so diligent, not only in head of it, but also advocating for us. And I don't know if this is a fair question to ask you, but how much are we below that motor vehicle percentage? Is that a fair question?
25 and 3 is 20 or 32, about 4 mils. 4 mils. And that would have been, if we charged the residents that 4 mils, then that would have been even more crushing. Like I said, we had to drop the mill rate. We had no choice. But they had told us, listen, if you drop the mill rate, you're going to lose about 1.5 million. I know this sounds like crazy, but I said, okay, we could deal with that, right? Because I figured I would find the 1.5 million when I ever opened the budget this week. It wasn't 1.5 million dollars, so we knew we were going to be dropped. We didn't know we were going to be dropped that much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Chairman Vargo.
Thank you. I actually received in the last couple of weeks quite an education on how much it costs for special education in terms of services and transportation, and the fact that we as a district have almost no say in what we're doing with that and what the costs are going to be. So I think part of the problem is that it's a variable that's very difficult to forecast. So the Board of Ed can take a best guess over historically what it's been, but if in December or February the district inherits a child that requires very specialized needs in terms of transportation or human services, one-on-ones or whatnot, it's very difficult to know what that could cost, and that could cost 6 figures. So that number is very difficult to budget. So I know that the Board of Ed has a very difficult job, both the staff and the elected members, our counterparts there. But we also have a very difficult job. And I will say this from the top of this building for as long as I need to. It is not that we do not support education or teachers or anybody. I have a child at West Haven High School. I want him to have the best of the best. And I know that everybody in this room does too. But it is our job, the mayor and the 13 of us, to balance the need of the educators, the children, and the families with every other department that operates in this city with what can the taxpayers shoulder. And how does that get offset by what we receive through our state partners and other revenue sources. It is very daunting. It is very difficult. I know it keeps a lot of us up at night of how we're going to balance these numbers, and the mayor is spending all of your time, I think, trying to make this work, and I just want you to feel that we are behind you, behind the superintendent, behind the elected Board of Education, that we all can come together and try to find a solution that's not going to break the taxpayer, but also give our kids what they need. And that's my goal through this budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other questions? Yep, Mayor Bohr.
Yeah, add something else. So, thankfully we had the surplus, right? And thankfully we sat in a room and came up with some changes that we were able to make. And when we first heard about the $8 million, after, we all were picked up from the floor, we'll figure it out, right? And we did. So we figured it out for fiscal year 25. It was very difficult, but the expenses are there. We had to work to cover those expenses. If the Board of Ed truly is not in a deficit this year, and it's challenging for me to understand how there's no deficit this year if there was a deficit last year and it's the same expenses. So that's why I'm not sitting comfortable that there is no deficit until we start to get closer. That's what's keeping me up at night. We were able to take care of 25 because of the good work that we did on both sides of the coin, right? City and Board of Education to have funding in other areas. This year, I just, superintendent told me again today, we do not have a deficit. And then I asked for the budget to actuals again, which I got today, which I will look at tomorrow. And then fiscal year 27 is obviously going to be a challenge again because it was compounded with the state flat funding. So tomorrow is specifically not to address the CAR grant, it's to address the flat funding of ECS because everybody was flat funded, right? Not just us. I do, yes, those special education costs are real, but I do think there is an opportunity on the Board of Education side to rein back some non-instruction. So we're not talking about staffing, teachers and paras or, resources, but there's other things I believe that can be done. I saw some expenses in there that I've identified. We did that last year, right? My first year here, the Board of Education asked for $2 million. We gave them $2 million. The second year, they asked for $2 million. We were only able to give $1.5 million, but we were able to demonstrate in $500,000 where it could be addressed, right? And I think bidding services that haven't been bid in a very long time is one of the ways to do that. So we are here to help every department, not just Board of Education, and we will continue to do what we're doing. And we'll figure it out. We always do.
Thank you, Mayor Borer. Any other questions for Mayor Borer, Mr. Gormany? Thank you so much, Mr. Gormany. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, up next we have Communication B, Animal Shelter donations from Chief Joseph Perno. I'd like to open this up favorably. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Anyone on the council? Seeing there are none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The time is now 8:20, Chairman, and your Committee on Finance is now closed.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Next up is Legislative Matters. Chairman Quagliani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Committee on Legislative Matters is now in session. Members present are Councilwoman Akbarali, Councilman Ronan, Councilwoman Tucker, myself, Councilman Quagliani, acting as chair, and Councilwoman Garth Ray is absent. Before us, Communication C for Mayor Dorinda Boer, requesting consideration and action regarding an amendment to Chapter 101, Section 101, fees relating to planning and zoning of the Code of West Haven, which the communication summary will state, amendment to the City Code, Section 101-1, schedule of fees for application services, maps, and publications relating to planning and zoning, an amendment to City Code Section 101-1, schedule of fees for application services, maps, and publications relating to planning and zoning. This proposed amendment increases several fees. The majority of the fees are being increased by approximately $25 to $50. These fees have not been reviewed or adjusted in over 13 years, so these increases are necessary to account for increases in providing these services. In the committee, do I have a motion to approve the first reading?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Tucker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Akbarali and Councilman Ronan. Any discussion on that first reading? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Communication E from the January 12th, 2026 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer, requesting consideration and action regarding an amendment to Chapter 191 Sewers, Article 10 of the Code of the City of West Haven, which will state, The proposed amendment of Article 10 of Chapter 191 Sewers recognizes existing sections, eliminates redundancies between sections, updates references to the general statutes as amended, and adds the following section for illegal sewer hookups and repairs and alterations performed without a permit. 191-69 penalties of offenses of Section 191-42. A, any person or entity found to have violated Section 191-42 shall be fined $100 per day for each offense from the date the illegal activity first occurred until the date that the activity in violation is abated. B, any connection made to the sewer collection system without a permit issued by the superintendent, and any alteration or repair made to an existing connection without a permit issued by the superintendent shall be subject to immediate disconnection by the WPCA. C, any person who is found to be in violation of Section 191-42 of this chapter shall be subject to arrest under a charge of disorderly conduct. D, any person who is found to be in violation of Section 22A-430 of the Connecticut General Statutes, as may be amended, shall be subject to monetary penalty or forfeiture under Section 22A-438. That would be the first reading. If I so have by the committee, a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Akbarali, seconded by Councilwoman Tucker. Any discussion amongst the committee? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? My motion carries. And Mr. Chairman, your Committee on Legislative Matters is closed at 8:24.
Thank you. Councilman Quagliani, unless you need him for anything else, I'd like to send Attorney Agello home. All set? Sir, have a great night.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can go home too. Yeah. Attorney Cassini, unless you have anything, you're all sticking around. All right. All right. All right. Next up is, where are we? Personnel and Civil Service. Chairman Ronan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is 8:24. The Committee on Personnel and Civil Service is now in session. Members present are councilpersons Akbarali, Rivera, and myself, Councilman Ronan, acting as chair. Members absent are Councilwoman Tagliatella and Councilwoman Garthwaite. We have before us tonight Communication D from Mayor Dorinda Boer requesting consideration and action regarding the appointment of Richard Philip Hebert of 166 Bloom Street, West Haven, to the Water Pollution Control Commission. Mr. Hebert's appointment will be replacing William Canning, whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expires on February 2nd, 2028. I would like to entertain a motion to bring this out favorably to the council.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have 2 absent. Our next communication is Communication F from the January 12th, 2026 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer requesting consideration and action regarding the appointment of Riley Waterfield, 70 Seaview Avenue, West Haven, to the Energy Commission panel of alternates. Ms. Waterfield's appointment will be replacing Michael A. Miranda Sr., whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expires on January 1st, 2027. I'd like to bring this out favorably to the council.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next, we have before us Communication I from the January 12th, 2026 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer requesting consideration and action regarding the appointment of Michael A. Miranda of 19 Homeside Avenue, West Haven, to the Energy Commission. Mr. Miranda's appointment will be replacing Christy Collins, whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expires on January 1st, 2027. I would like to entertain a motion to bring this out favorably to the council.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Lastly, we have Communication O from the January 12th, 2026 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer requesting consideration and action regarding the appointment of Mr. Stewart Rosencrantz. Rosencrantz. Thank you. 441 Glendavon Drive, North, West Haven, to the West Haven Allentown Fire Commission. Mr. Rosenkranz's appointment will be replacing Corey Nunley, whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expires on January 1, 2031. I would like to entertain a motion to bring this out favorably to the whole council.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That concludes the business of Personnel and Civil Service. The time is now 8:28.
Thank you, Chairman Ronan. Okay, the time is 8:28, and the council as a whole is reconvening. There's no unfinished business, so we will move on to committee reports. Madam Clerk, would you please read Communication A into the record?
Certainly. Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment of refunds for January 2026 will be filed with tonight's minutes.
Thank you, Stacy. First up is the Finance Committee Chairwoman Akbarelli.
Thank you, Chairman. Communication B from the February 9th, 2026 agenda. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom was referred the matter of consideration and action regarding animal shelter donations, reports that the committee met on the 9th day of February 2026 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the following donations totaling $1,481.08 to be deposited into line item number 101-000-00-28285, Animal Shelter Donations. Sikorsky Credit Union, $200. First Congregational Church, $336.08. Bruce Berthel, $200. Maureen Kelly, $100. Paul Palumbo, $20. Mary Jane Morrissey, $50. Marianne Luxack, $200. Peter G. Plano, $50. Patrice Fusco, $200. Patricia G. Boyne, $100. Catherine J. Blakesley, $25. And I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilwoman Akbarelli regarding the matter of animal shelter donations. Do I have a second? Second from Councilman Quagliani. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman. That concludes your Committee on Finance resolutions.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next up is legislative matters. Chairman Quagliani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Legislative Matters Committee met this evening for Communication C from Mayor Dorinda Boer, requesting consideration and action regarding an amendment to Chapter 101, Section 1011, fees relating to planning and zoning of the Code of the City of West Haven. Your committee has approved this for a first reading, and if we could get a public hearing date.
Okay, we will have a public hearing on February 23rd, 2026 at 6:50.
February 23rd at 6:50. Thank you. And we also have Communication E from the January 12th, 2026 agenda from Mayor Dorinda Boer, requesting consideration and action regarding an amendment to Chapter 191 Sewers, Article 10 of the Code of the City of West Haven. Your Legislative Matters Committee met this evening for approval of a first reading, and we'd like a public hearing date for this.
Public hearing will be scheduled for February 23rd, 2026 at 6:55.
February 23, 6:55. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that concludes your business on legislative matters.
Thank you, Councilman. Next up is Personnel and Civil Service, Chairman Ronan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service met this evening in regards to appointments. Communication D from the February 9th, 2026 agenda. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom was referred the matter of consideration and action regarding the appointment of Richard Philip Herbert of 166 Bloom Street, West Haven, Connecticut, to the Water Pollution Control Commission. Mr. Hebert's appointment will be replacing William Canning, whose term expired and will become effective immediately and expire on February 2nd, 2028. Reports that the committee met on the 9th day of February 2026 to consider said matter. It is a unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Richard Philip Hebert, 166 Bloom Street, West Haven, Connecticut, to the West Haven, to what's that? Water Pollution Control Commission, whose term will become effective and expire on February 2nd, 2028. And I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Ronan regarding the matter of appointing Mr. Hebert to the Water Pollution Control Commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman McMillan. Mayor?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay, well, it just so happens Mr. Hebert is sitting in our audience tonight. And he is always in our audience, which really demonstrates his commitment to the city and underlines the very reason he's being appointed to this commission. Not only is he always here at the council meeting, but it's very important to him what is going on at the WPCA. It is in his backyard. He attends those meetings as well. I asked him not too long ago, I said, would you be interested in serving on the commission? And he said, well, then I can't necessarily ask the questions. And I said, sure you can. Now you could ask them from the inside. So he thought about it, and I'm so glad he reconsidered. We have too many vacancies. We have 2 vacancies and a person that does not attend, which I'm speaking with that person. So we have not been able to have a quorum. So this is going to help us with a quorum. We will be appointing someone else at the next meeting. So we're very grateful for your dedication. Now, you know, we appointed Kathy to a commission 2 weeks ago. I hope you guys got something else to talk about when you go home. But I highly recommend him. Thank you.
Mr. Hebert, I just want to thank you because you come here almost every meeting. You stand up there and you talk about the WPCA. It's very clear that this is something you are not only very knowledgeable about, but also very passionate about. And it's very uncommon that you get folks that will come up and ask questions but not be willing to get involved. And I want to applaud you and I want to thank you for stepping up and getting involved in something that you are so passionate about. So thank you very much. Any other discussion? Councilman Donovan?
Yeah, I concur to what everybody said, Rich. Mackie stole my thunder by seconding before, even though his mic wasn't on. But yeah, this is somebody that this was an absolute no-brainer to have you there. You'll definitely fit in nicely and hopefully get things straightened out. And you will be able to answer your own questions at that point. Not that we couldn't, but you'll be able to answer them and ask as many important questions that you probably want. So this is definitely a great choice. So thank you.
Anybody else? Councilman Heffernan?
Mrs. Hebert, I have a bone to pick on your behalf. His name is spelled correctly here. What? Why wasn't mine? Exactly. No, I'm only kidding. Sorry.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication O from the January 12th, 2026 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom was referred the matter of consideration and action regarding the appointment of Stuart Rosenkrantz of 441 Glendoven Drive North, West Haven, Connecticut, to the West Haven Allentown Fire Commission. Mr. Rosenkrantz's appointment will be replacing Corey Nunley, whose term expired and will become effective immediately and expire on January 1st, 2031. Reports that the committee met on the 9th day of February 2026 to consider said matter. It is a unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Stuart Rosenkrantz, 441 Glen Devon Drive North, West Haven, Connecticut, to the West Haven Allentown Fire Commission. Mr. Rosenkrantz's appointment will be replacing Corey Nunley, whose term expired and will become effective immediately and expire on January 1, 2031, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Ronan regarding the matter of appointing Stuart Rosenkrantz to the West Haven Allentown Fire Commission. Anybody but Councilman Donovan for a second? Councilwoman Callahan. Any discussion? Councilwoman Callahan.
Ha! I'm just kidding. I have known Mr. Rosencrantz for a very, very long time. He was one of my first employers. So he is a wonderful, wonderful man. He's going to be a great addition to the fire department. He's been a longtime resident over in our district, and I'm looking forward to working with him again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, Mayor?
I didn't know he was your first employer. His father was my first employer. Winthrop Continuing Care. May I help you? First job. So Stuart actually served on the WPCA for almost 20 years. So he really dedicated, he never missed a meeting. He was a great commission member. He's one of the actual vacancies that we're going to have. He does live in Allentown, and he said, I just want to try something different. He has a good business sense, so I think he'll be a great addition. So I highly recommend him as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion? See none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. I have a motion to approve the appointment of Michael A. Miranda Sr. to the Energy Commission. Councilman Donovan, second?
Second.
Yeah. Gotta be quicker. Second. Any discussion? Mayor?
Sure. So Michael Miranda served as an alternate on the Energy Commission, and he brings a lot to the table. He is very familiar with energy and electrical. He has also helped us with our community garden. So he's very community minded, and he's a good attendance record, which is key to these commission meetings. And I think making him a full member is a perfect spot for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? See none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Communication F from the January 12th, 2026 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Personnel and Civil Service, to whom was referred the matter of consideration and action regarding the appointment of Riley Waterfeld, 70 Seaview Avenue, West Haven, Connecticut, to the Energy Commission panel of alternates. Ms. Waterfeld's appointment will be replacing Michael A. Miranda Sr., whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expire on January 1, 2027. Reports that the committee met on the 9th day of February 2026 to consider said matter. It is a unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the appointment of Riley Waterfeld, 70 Seaview Avenue, West Haven, Connecticut, to the Energy Commission panel of alternates. Ms. Waterfeld's appointment will be replacing Michael A. Miranda Sr., whose term expired and will be effective immediately and expire on January 1, 2027, and I so move.
I have a motion regarding the appointment of Riley Waterfield to the Energy Commission panel of alternates. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Heffernan. Any discussion? Mayor?
Sure. Riley has a degree in environmental studies, and she's young. She just graduated not too long ago from school. She's going to bring a fresh perspective. She's coming on as an alternate because it is her first board that she's being appointed to. She's very excited. We're very excited to have her, and I think she's going to add a lot of value, and she could do things we can't. I highly recommend her.
Thank you. Any further discussion? See none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
That concludes the business of Personnel and Civil Service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ronan. Moving on to council liaison reports. Any? Councilman Beaton?
Mr. Chairman, through our friends over at Park and Rec, I just want to let you guys know that they're going to be offering a boating safety and personal watercraft certification class coming up in April. It'll be at Painter Park at the building there, and information will be on their website shortly. It's a great opportunity at a reduced cost for our constituents if they want to get certified in those areas.
Thank you. Something I want to bring out from the Fair Rent Commission. I am the liaison to that commission. I attended last week's meeting, and we discussed 2 Connecticut Supreme Court cases that may impact an ordinance that we recently passed. So they prepared an ordinance for our review, and we passed it I believe it was last term. And 2 cases right now are being reviewed by the Supreme Court. One is whether or not a cease and desist order can be issued by the commission as part of its remedial powers, whether or not that is effective, and whether or not that's valid, and whether or not the commission can order a landlord to withdraw a eviction action, especially if there's a pending appeal of a decision of the commission. So those are presently with the Supreme Court. Attorney Cassini, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I did speak with Attorney Michael Todd Taylor, who said he was going to speak with you about it. Do you have anything to add, or are you still getting up to speed on that?
So thank you. As you know, the powers of fair rent commissions is fairly narrow when you read the statute very plainly. So it'll be interesting to see what the court does. But I think that the new ordinance that you adopted doesn't need to be scrapped. It could be amended based on what the Supreme Court does. There are 2 separate cases that are individual, and so one could be determined one way and the other a different way, but each of them addresses really the extent to which the Fair Rent Commission can address things that are outside of just the pricing of rental increases. That's something that Fair Rent Commissions have been wrestling with since they've come into effect, and it's not rare that the Fair Rent Commission has to revise or at least review their procedures and their ordinances. So if that's something that we need to do, it can be done fairly quickly and shouldn't affect much business at all. But it is something that we're going to be watching very closely to see specifically what language gets used in those decisions and see if we have to do anything about it.
Thank you. And I just want to make clear that neither of these cases have to do with West Haven.
No, they're not West Haven.
They're outside. They're different municipalities. They're issues, but these decisions will impact the powers of our commission. Thank you, Attorney Cassini. And that is all I have for Fair Rent. Liaison reports? Councilman Tucker?
Yeah. So I'd like to share that the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee has begun meeting quarterly. They've gone down to meeting from bi-monthly to quarterly. The next meeting will be April 7th, and I will provide an update after that meeting. And the second thing is that on February 26th, the Black Heritage Celebration will be held here in the Harriet North room, and we welcome all the community to come and take part in that celebration. There will be a new Citizen of the Year awarded, and there'll be other people that will be awarded. There's going to be food, as always, in the lower level, so it should be a beautiful celebration. We invite everyone to come.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Councilman Donovan?
Thank you, Chairman. As liaison to the EOC, I think this last storm we had, this last major storm, it seems like the communication got out a little bit better. You're never going to hit 100% of the city members, but a lot of people not only were parking on the odd side, because you can't park on the even side, they were just not parking on either side. They were basically finding spots. So that communication really got out there. I know our public works worked, diligently all night. Are you going to get complaints? Absolutely, no matter what you do. If they don't see asphalt, it's a complaint. But I think they did a great job. I think Ricky Fontana did a great job with with the meeting, holding the meeting there. The mayor as well in there, having the news media there and putting that on the news may have helped get the word out to the others that we normally don't hit. So getting that information getting out there was good. And I'm hoping that if there are residents that are listening, to go on the website and put down your phone number or text so that you are getting these messages that the city, the mayor puts out, and Ricky Fontana puts out. It is a benefit to yourselves and your family as well. So, but I just wanted to give the whole organization down there, the fire, the police, public work, everybody down there, kudos for the job they did. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman McMillan?
I don't necessarily have a liaison report because I'm not a liaison, but I would like to say thank you to the mayor for her updates as she was riding with the police officer that evening, and she was up in the big plow. I thought that was phenomenal. She's like, I'm riding, what's going on over here? So I thought that was a great thing, and it's definitely something that the community, at least some of my constituents, like, did you see your mayor? I was like, yeah, I saw her up in that plow, and people appreciate that. I'm being very serious because it's just this, she's putting herself out there. She's in the middle of it all. So that's all. Thank you, Mayor.
I've done the police ride along. I want to go in a plow.
You can go right ahead.
That looked like fun. And I just want to say that was your choice to not be a liaison, so I don't want to. Okay. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman Callahan.
He's always so hard to follow. Anyway, just to say what my partners here have said, thank you very much. Public Works, hands down. I actually went outside and talked to neighbors. I'm like, listen, give them a chance. They've got to sleep. They've got to rotate. Hands down, unbelievable, especially with the cold. We have not experienced this kind of cold in a very, 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 very long time. And I like the fact that everybody asks everyone, whether you think they're okay or not, just go check on your neighbors, check on your friends, especially with the cold, not even necessarily the storm. It is great with the, sign up for the alerts. What I always love, and the mayor always says, is when she puts a post out, just share it. Share it, because you don't know who's watching you. And even if you hit one person or two, the shares on our social media pages, people see it. So, I think that's super important. On another note, I know that let's talk about summer. The Savin Rock Fireworks Committee is hosting a couple fundraisers. If you jump on their page, on the Facebook page, they have some cool stuff coming up. So anyway, we could have a good time and support our firework committee and think of the sun will be a good thing. So that's it. And I am the liaison to the fire department in Allentown, so everything's going well, and thank you to them, and of course the other fire departments as well. Everyone's worked really hard through the storm, so thanks.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Councilwoman Heffernan?
It's not a liaison report, but I do have, talking about fundraisers, there is a fundraiser March 14th at UNH for the West Haven Community House, very important nonprofit in West Haven, and the West Haven Historical Society had a fundraiser on Friday, and it went very nicely, and thank you for the support from the council, the people that came. It was really fun, thanks. And there's always a fundraiser we could go to, so thanks.
Any other liaison reports?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm hoping water pollution. I look forward to working with the commissioner, and hopefully we'll get an agenda and we'll have a quorum with your fellow commissioners. I know it's been kind of with resignations and stuff. It's been kind of topsy-turvy down there, and hopefully we're going to get some stability. And I think we need to add one more commissioner down there too, right? So we'll work on that, and we'll get a full board, and we'll start moving along. I look forward to it, Rich. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Seeing none. New business? Councilman Donovan?
Yeah, just one quick one, Mayor. Maybe we can get IT to fix that camera back there.
We're very blurry on the
one
upper
over
right.
there. Our handsome and beautiful partners on that side are blurred, so if we can get it. Somebody's licking the lens that shouldn't be, I think. Thank you.
One piece of new business. One piece of new business I want to bring up. We approved the sound testing for the humming noise. I spoke with Commissioner Carano late last week. Because of all the snow accumulation, snow acts as a natural absorbent of sound. That's why if you go out in a fresh snow, it's nice and silent and very peaceful. So we can't do it right now. So the testing company is going to be monitoring how much snow is on the ground. They don't have to wait until there's none, but it's got to be less than what we got now. So as soon as the conditions are ideal, then they'll be going ahead. I have let all the residents know that I've been communicating with directly that there's going to be a delay in this, so they are all set. So if anybody hears anything, anybody asking what the status is, we are unfortunately in a holding pattern until future notice. It does, yes.
All right, you want my new business?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's wrap it up. We've been here since 6:30 a.m. So let's just talk about the snow for a second and the water main breaks, okay? Because we have significant water main breaks. But the snow, yes, I want to thank the hard work from Public Works, the hard work police and fire, our dispatch, our communications. I want a special thanks to Ricky Fontana because he built that emergency operations center down in the lower level, which we did not have before. So during the storm, we have a representative from all of the agencies together. We're there for like about 48 hours, and we make those decisions together, right? So police, everybody's on the same page. It's not, you don't have to call anybody, text anybody. There's a representative from every agency making the calls. When it's a big storm, it's easy to make the calls of what you're going to do. You know, when it's a little storm, not little, but like we had this weekend, is it going to be an inch? Is it going to be 3 inches? Is it going to be an inch, 3? If it's inches, you know, it's not plowable. If it's 3 inches, it's plowable. You got to bring the plowers in. So I thank the patient, thank the residents for their patience. But yes, please be patient because, you know, we get the forecast and that forecast sometimes changes on a dime. But it's not just plowing. I want everybody to know there's a lot more that goes into it. We have a train station. We got to figure out where they're going to put their snow. We got to find a location for them to put their snow. We don't have containers. We have to rent containers to haul snow away because they're on the corners, you know, and school buses are what's critical. We have to figure out where to put that snow and how to put it, and where to put it. The GPS system was instrumental because we have all the plowers up on a big screen and we know where they are. And all those plowers, again, we had cots downstairs in the basement. They came in, they took a rest because we know if they go home, they're not coming back, right? So they're on call. So they worked really hard. It's bothersome when they get criticism, you know, out there because people say, oh, yeah, well, they're getting paid. Well, I don't know. Do you want to be out in that storm, you know, 24 hours away from your family? Yeah, you know, yes, of course we get paid. And yes, that plow that I was in was going up Highland Street sideways, I will mention. That is why my face looked like that. The biggest complaint we get about during a storm is we plow in driveways after they've been shoveled. That's pretty much the only complaint because I will say, you're right, Councilman Donovan, in this storm, we did not have a fraction of the tickets and the towing that we had in a smaller storm previously because everybody knows a big storm's coming. Again, it's very clear. And we told them park on your lawns, park wherever. There was a lot of compliance, which really helps because if our plows can't get down the road, they're going to call PD. But I also want to mention that PD starts ticketing and towing sometimes before our plows even get there. They know what streets are the challenges. Down in the center, those narrow streets, up on the hills in the 8th, as the gentleman mentioned, and some of the hills up in Allingtown. Those are tough streets to get down, and we got to get the plow down there. So PD starts to ticket and tow before we even call them because they have a lot, you know. But what PD did this time was also hit the siren at 8 a.m., right? And told everybody, come on, move your car, because not only don't we want to tow people, but the police have to wait there until the tower comes. They can't call the tower and go to the next street. So that takes up our precious police time. So, you know, they wanted to get people to move their cars. So everybody did a great job. The cost of this storm is significant. And again, it's not just the plowing and the overtime and the police and the overtime, which, yes, are high, but salt, right? Salt is at a premium. We had to have salt, not we, the state had to have salt come in on a barge because everybody ran out of salt. Again, the containers, and also the cost of fuel to run the vehicles and things like tires that you don't think about, right? So we have to have the mechanics on call, and the plowers are constantly coming in. The blade broke, the tires, blew. So it's all hands on deck. They really did an excellent job, and we worked. Oh, and there's also a member of the Board of Education in the Emergency Operations Center as well. I think calling off school on Friday for Monday, we were the first community to do it. Everybody's mind is at ease. Okay, stay off the road. They know closing City Hall. Just do it early if you know it. The water main breaks. So we have had significant water main breaks. Wait, going back to the snow. I just want to mention that this parking ban is in effect as soon as the first snowflakes start to hit. People should not wait for me on social media to let them know there's a parking ban. That is the city rule. Starts to snow, there's a parking ban in effect. Emergency parking ban is when sometimes I can declare, as a chief elected official, a specific emergency. When we declare an emergency, like we did in this last storm, major decisions are made, even superseding contracts, going beyond our purchasing requirements. It's an emergency declaration. We're, in a bit of a crisis. So, but other than that, as soon as the snow starts to hit, you got to move your car. Water main breaks. So, we've had significant water main breaks because of the ground shifting. So not only is it freezing, but it shifts. So, if anybody sees, and we'll get this information out there, if you see any water bubbling up in the street, call 911. That means there's a water break there. And we had them this weekend, Morse Avenue, first thing in the morning, Saturday. Last night we had Winslow and Ruby. Today we had something here on Main Street. As soon as I came in, I saw the fire engines and the police cars. So I will put something out there if it's a major road like Captain Thomas Boulevard. We had that main break, and that's obviously a major thoroughfare. We want to tell people to avoid the area. I'm not going to put it out there if it's Morris Avenue and there's 13 homes impacted, or it's another street and it's 36 homes. But we've had a total of, I think, 8 water main breaks. Those are costly too, because at that point we have to call Public Works because they got to get in there and salt. So fire department shows up, right? Police show up to block the road, and then we have to show up. So we get those alerts on our phone. So we have people on call to do that. Water main breaks are going to happen more in March. So it's been explained to me. I've learned about water main breaks because, as we thought, the ground's going to shift again. But a lot of that is old pipes in West Haven. So the one on Captain Thomas Boulevard was a pipe from, I don't know, it was like 1905, I think. It was Scotty's, which was a restaurant. There we had something occur in front of Style School. That pipe was over 70 years old. So we got old infrastructure. So just be patient with the water main breaks. Also quickly, thank you, Councilman Beaton, for talking about the boat safety classes. So we got funding to do that. We're also planning in the spring to do free swim lessons for, we're determining what age group we could do. We have the longest coastline in the state. We want to do boating safety, and we want to do swim lessons because we saw issues last year across the state. Last week I went to a mayor's conference in D.C. It was cut a little short because we had the storm, so I didn't go for the planned amount. But it was really great to be with the mayors from Connecticut and to listen to the leaders about new laws that were changing and where some funding may be available. So it was a great opportunity to go. The humming noise, right? So I put a video out there. Not everybody's on social media. What's the mystery? Well, we're going to test it. I will tell you all that publicity. I don't know. I don't know what happened. NBC came to our council meeting for the humming noise discussion. NBC National picked it up from their affiliate, and the Today Show called. From the Today Show, Inside Edition called. And I was like, don't pick up the phone. Do not answer them. So John Crono and I probably avoided the calls for a couple of days, and they say we're coming whether you go on camera or not. So now when somebody says that, you wanna help control the message, right? And you want to put the city in a good light. From that was the New York Times. From that was Fox News. So we managed it the best we could, given the circumstances. So I do want to thank John Carano because, and I want to thank the residents that brought it forward, and certainly Kim who put that petition together because it gave us an opportunity to see really where it was. So we will continue to work on that. But not only does the snow buffer the sound, but you can't test in the snow. So we said 4 weeks. It's not 4 weeks. Just a couple other quick things. February, you saw our post on animal shelters, so it's free adoption for anybody who comes between now and Valentine's Day for our special. And then on Friday, if anybody would like to come, it's a special recognition for our seniors who have been married 50 years or more, and that will be at the CeLo Club on Friday. CeLo? Chilo? The IA Club, I know. I've been chastised for calling it the IA Club. And that is all I have tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
Yay.
Second, third. Have a good night.